end events. Okay, so we can see there's two different types of end events. These objects have several inlets, one or more, and they're never going to have an outlet. Okay, they're going to act differently depending on where we're using these objects. So if we use them in a main process, in a parent process, or if we're using it inside of a sub-process. The flow end event is always going to work the same, regardless where we're using it. It's just going to stop a thread within a process. So whenever a thread reaches this object, it's going to stop. But the process or sub-process end event is going to either entirely finish the parent process, the main process, or is going to entirely finish the child process or the sub-process. So depending on where this object has been placed, it's going to end the sub-process or the entire process. Here we have an example so we can understand it a little bit better. Let's say we have a process. It initiated here, it went through this task, and now it went through this gateway, and this gateway sent the flow to all kinds of different directions, okay? So we have the flow inside of the sub-process. We already said when the flow goes into the collapse notation of a subprocess, it immediately links to its IS, okay? So here it's linked to this IS and it's activated these three tasks. Now, the first thing that happens is that this performer finishes their task and the flow reaches this FC. What's going to happen if we reach an FC? Nothing. The only thing that's going to happen is that the flow is going to stop here. It's not going to continue. But then here we have another task, reaches this gateway, it goes through this other system task, and the flow arrives at this FN object. Okay? Sorry, this FC object. So what's going to happen? Nothing. The process isn't going to end because we just reached an FC. But over here, we're going to see this other scenario. Inside of the subprocess, this task finished and this other task finished too. So what's going to happen when the flow arrives? The Fn, okay, the Fn is an object that allows us to either finish entirely a subprocess or the main process. Since the Fn was here inside of the subprocess, it's going to cancel whatever was inside of the subprocess. In this example, we have a personal task that should have been performed, but this person didn't perform it. Well, since the flow arrived this object, this task is cancelled. Okay, so any activity that is being performed within this subprocess is going to be cancelled because we reached an Fn. But the main process isn't cancelled. Why? Because we haven't met an Fn within the main process. But let's say here the flow continues, it goes out of the subprocess. Okay, as soon as the flow reaches an Fn in the subprocess, it goes through the thread that comes out of the subprocess. And now here we have this task here where someone finishes it, and now we did reach the Fn in the main process. What's going to happen here is that the entire process and any subprocess that is active within it is going to finish. In this example, the subprocess has already been performed, but let's say we have a different scenario where the subprocess still has different pending activities, and we reach the Fn outside. If the Fn we reach is in the main process, it's going to cancel not only the main process or anything that's active in the main process, but it's also going to cancel whatever we have active in any of its subprocesses.